Ember Witch. Book 1. The Lich. Volume 1. Black Tragedy. Chapter 4. Black Tragedy. September 19, 459 BME to October 31, 461 BME. Fragment 34. The Cell. Vera had been beaten, sliced open, raped and strung up on a wall for almost a full month. After the first day in the dungeon, the king had sent a doctor into her cell. He had drugged her, then performed some sort of operation on her. She had no idea what had been done to her, but she could see a massive scar running across her stomach. Her head was spinning and her leg and arm ached from the now unevenly healing bones. She hadn't felt any connection to magic since the day Syrya had burned her eye, but now the energy began to flow back. She was still a long way from being able to use it as her body was so badly damaged, but she finally felt the calming sense of security she always had. She was thirsty, her mouth was dry from lack of water and her stomach protested in hunger. As badly as she felt, she could at least feel her strength slowly returning to her. She was surprised that Syrya hadn't told the king she was a mage, but thankful for her luck that he didn't ask, during his frequent visits, to violate her. She didn't understand why he hadn't made the assumption she could use magic, but she wasn't going to complain about having a secret such as this. Another week and she could simply walk right out of the door. Humans were so easy to kill, and the king's guard was sloppy, unorganized, and scattered too thin for them to be an issue. All she had to do was wait for the perfect moment and she could escape. Syrya walked into her room and closed the door behind her. Lilith smiled as she looked over Syrya's body. Thin but muscular build, large breasts accentuated by the priestess robe and beautiful light red skin. She held back the urge to run into her and wrap her arms around her, and to her surprise Syrya was the one to do just that. She wrapped her arms around Lilith, pressing her body tight against the smaller girl's. Eve looked surprised and Aries, still glowing, gasped.
I know this isn't like how I was when we first met or even after the day I burned that paper, but I need you to know I've thought about you every single day.
After speaking, she leaned her head down and pressed her lips to Lilith's. They kissed for a long moment. Syrya letting her emotions build, and Lilith, caught up in the sudden kiss, closed her eyes and felt bliss. After a short time they broke their kiss. Syrya, letting Lilith go, finally spoke again.
Even better than I remember.
Lilith, so surprised from the entire event that just took place, simply smiled, running a finger across her bottom lip.
Mind telling me what all of that was about?
Eve asked after the initial shock finally subsided. Lilith stared at the woman she had fantasized about for a year.
I have been through the void in the past year. From assassination attempts to an act of violence so terrible I don't dare describe it. With young Aries present, I learned that I have been hiding my feelings towards certain things and keeping my true self bottled up. The last time we met, Lilith and I shared a moment in which we kissed. After my brush with death, I thought I'd never get to experience that again.
Syrya said, looking over to Lilith.
What did you say? Assassination attempt?
Lilith asked, reaching her hand out, grabbing Syrya's. They locked fingers and Syrya started to grip tighter and tighter as she began explaining her fight with the Firen assassin.
I took her to the king. I have no doubt that he has done unspeakable things to the woman.
Syrya said, tears beginning to well in her eyes. Lilith wrapped her arm around Syrya, pressing herself to her back.
I'm afraid that the spell I used to block her magic will be wearing off any time, but the damage done to her body will take a while to heal. I've done terrible things since we last met and I must live with the consequences, but I promised you I would end your suffering. I have a plan, but it will take a few days to prepare.
Syrya finished, keeping her tears from stopping her. Lilith pressed harder into Syrya's back.
It's okay, no matter what you have done I will be here for you,
she said, trying to comfort her. Eve was watching her daughter show affection to the elven woman like she hadn't seen since Farron left. She let them stay like that for a moment, understanding Lilith's demeanor the past year. She had acted differently since the day they left the chapel, more confident, more comfortable. Eve assumed it was because the magic affecting her had gone away, but now she understood. Aries was trying to grasp what all had happened. Her sister and Syrya were hugging, kissing and holding hands like her mother and father used to. She stood there feeling something different, a pressure weighing down on her entire body. Syrya noticed Aries, beginning to slowly back away.
You can feel it, can't you? That growing weight that's pressing on you,
Syrya said. Lilith loosened her grip and let Syrya take a few steps forward.
Yes, I can. It feels strange but comforting.
Aries replied, looking into Syrya's eyes.
Each mageborn will feel the presence of another. That weight you feel is my magic,
Syrya said, looking over the young girl. The purple glow surrounding her highlighting how beautiful she is. She was only a few years younger than Lilith, but her features showed a grace and beauty some would think the queen would look like.
I can feel your presence in the form of waves. You can't control your energy, you are unfocused and the energy you naturally create flows out of you unchecked. I will teach you to control the magic in you. You won't glow at random times and with practice you will be able to block out any lingering effects from the page of the narcosis I burned,
Syrya said, rubbing her hand across Aries' hair. Aries had a large smile on her face.
You're going to teach me to use magic?
She asked excitedly.
I will teach you a few things, but all mageborn must find their unique powers on their own. I discovered my abilities to heal after my friend broke his leg. I'm sure you will find it soon. Each mage I've met has found their powers at around your age,
Syrya said, standing up.
And as for you two, I'm going to cast a binding spell on you to keep not only Aries' magic from affecting you but all magic. I'm unsure of how long it will last, but it should be enough time for Aries to learn how to control her powers. I fear that the unchecked energy she is emitting is causing you to continue having negative experiences,
Syrya said, turning to Eve and Lilith.
As much as you want to be together during this trying time, I need each of you to be separated from each other. I have only a few weeks to make this work, and having you separated will help me study the effects of Aries' magic,
Syrya continued, looking at Eve.
So you wish to keep Lilith here, me at the inn and Aries somewhere else?
Eve asked, pushing for the motive behind all of her words.
As much as I'd enjoy spending time with Lilith, it's Aries that has to stay here. If a mageborn comes into the city, they would feel her energy and track her down. Her being here with me, I can not only mask her energy but teach her to control it,
Syrya replied, keeping her feelings for Lilith out of the conversation. Lilith, on the other hand, took her mother's words as an insult.
Excuse me, but I am old enough to decide for myself, and if I want to spend time with her I will.
She interrupted the conversation. Syrya didn't say anything, knowing that it wasn't her place.
I'm fine with you and her being friends, but I will not allow you to sin under the god's roof, Lilith,
Eve shot back with anger. Syrya, now feeling it was the right time to speak, stepped in front of Lilith and Eve.
Eve, you have no idea what you are talking about. The gods teach love and inclusion, not bigotry and hate. My feelings for Lilith are protected under the gods' teachings, and if Lilith holds the same feelings, then she too is protected. The church may teach different things where you live, but the true church, the one founded by my people, teaches that love between any of their chosen creations is acceptable,
Syrya said in protest. Lilith grabbed Syrya's hand to show her mother that she had deep feelings for her.
Please, Mum, I don't want to fight about this,
Lilith said calmly.
I do not agree with this, Lilith, but you are my daughter and I love you. If you choose this path, I will support you,
Eve said after a few moments of thinking things over.
Thank you, Mother,
Lilith replied, then looked at Syrya with a smile. The two looked at each other for a moment, then Aries spoke up.
I for one think it's beautiful. Your black glow fits so perfectly with Lily's silver.
Syrya snapped her eyes to Aries.
You can see a color around both of us?
She asked in surprise.
Of course I can see yours, Lily's and Mom's glow. You can't?
Aries said, puzzled.
This is incredible. I've never expected to meet a mageborn who can see color like you can. How long have you been seeing these colors?
Syrya asked, and Aries shrugged.
Since we left home. Mom glows white,
she replied, pointing to Eve. Syrya tried to focus on Eve and Lilith, but couldn't see any signs of magic coming off of them.
You must be one of the most powerful mageborn in the world to be able to see color like this,
Syrya replied, and shortly after Lilith joined in.
Please explain this whole color thing. I understand that when you use magic it has a different color than another person, but how can we have color glowing off of us as well?
Syrya stood up and paced the room. She passed the black flame, still burning, in the closed bottle.
Magic makes up most of the world. Each object or living creature has a distinct color. Think of it as an energy. Each person has their own unique energy that flows in waves outward. For a mageborn to use magic, they must learn the energy flowing from them and manipulate that energy to match another wave's frequency. For example, to cast a fire spell you must match your energy or color to the same frequency as fire. This will cause your energy to transform from one form to the other. In order to heal you have to match your energy to the person you are healing to replenish and restore their energy. It's why all mageborn have different talents. Some people can match energy to different things easier than others. I was able to heal my friend's broken leg because I could feel the energy they were giving off and manipulated mine to match. In Aries' case, she is able to see the energy of each of us, which means she could potentially have no limit to what she can do. Only the most skilled mages of old could use any school of magic with very little limitations.
Syrya explained as best as she could, trying not to get too technical.
So the desk has a color?
Lilith asked, trying to grasp what she had just heard.
It's blue.
Aries answered quickly, and Syrya, again surprised, looked over to her.
Yes, anything and everything has an individual color. A mage using telekinesis spells matches their energy to the object they wish to manipulate and can make it float in midair,
Syrya said, picking up a bottle off the desk and making it float toward her.
Most mageborn can't see the color itself but feel the energy and just match theirs to it, but Aries can actually see the color, which is incredible,
she said, letting the bottle fall into her hand.
The more that she can see, the more she can do. In your letters she explained that she had seen different colors in the fire I cast. At first I thought she was seeing residual energy left over from the different magic used to make the page of the narcosis, but now I see that she was seeing the energy of the wood, paper, fire, ink and the magic used to enchant the page,
Syrya said, opening the bottle and taking a sip from it.
Residual energy?
Eve asked, trying to keep up with the conversation.
Yes, residual energy. When a spell is cast it leaves behind a small trace of itself on whatever it touches,
Syrya replied. She noticed Lilith eyeing the bottle, so she handed it over. Lilith took the bottle, and just before she pressed it to her lips, Syrya stopped her.
Just a sip and no more, okay? That is a special potion I frequently brew, but its effects are powerful in large doses,
she said, and Lilith took a sip.
What is in the potion?
Eve asked with a frown.
Cetera berry and haven stem. Combined together they make a light to buzz effect that helps the body and mind relax. I use it to help people deal with pain. It helps with stomach issues and even clears your sinuses and throat, letting you breathe easier with a cold,
Syrya replied, and Eve scowled.
So not only are you going to turn my daughter gay, but you are drugging her. What kind of priestess are you?
Eve yelled out in anger.
I am not turning your daughter gay, and neither am I drugging her. That potion is brewed and blessed each day to help those in need, and your daughter is choosing to love someone she wants to,
Syrya shot back. Lilith, feeling the effects of the potion, began to giggle a bit.
We are done here. Lilith, Aries, we are leaving,
Eve said, grabbing Aries by the arm and pulling her toward the door.
I am not going anywhere, Mum,
Lilith protested. Syrya stepped forward and started glowing.
What are you going to cast a spell on me?
Eve barked, seeing the color glowing from her entire body.
No, I am unlocking the door. You can leave, but if Lilith says she's not going, then she isn't going,
Syrya replied, standing in front of Lilith.
What in the void happened to you? Have you lost your damn mind?
Eve said, keeping Aries behind her.
I can't believe that the church would allow you within 5 feet of the chapel,
she continued.
I have seen things in this world you would not believe. I'm the only one within the city to possess the ability to heal, and the only person who can break the afflictions plaguing your family. The church needs me and you need me. Don't put any of this on your daughter, because it's your inability to see past your own flaws. Lilith stays with me tonight while you think about what you are missing,
Syrya said, opening the door without moving.
I will stop this curse even if you hate me. I have sworn an oath to the gods to aid the people of Meridia, and I will not break that oath. Please consider your children's happiness before your own,
she said, gesturing towards the door.
Now leave and keep Aries inside. I will be down tomorrow morning to begin her training.
She finished with a calm demeanor. Eve turned and walked out, pulling the confused Aries with her. Syrya closed the door lightly and dropped her energy. Lilith ran into her arms and embraced Syrya in a hug.
What just happened?
She asked, trying not to cry.
It will be okay, your mother is just overwhelmed by everything. She will come around to see the truth soon enough,
Syrya replied, holding Lilith tight.
You said you loved me, is that true?
Lilith asked after a moment.
I do. We may not have been together very long, but for some reason you never left my mind,
Syrya replied, looking down to see Lilith staring into her eyes. Lilith tipped her feet up, extending her body upward. She pressed her lips to Syrya's and kissed her. Syrya returned the kiss with passion. From out of the barred window, Vera could see that it was around midnight. She had hoped that she would regain her strength by the end of the week, but her body was still trying to heal the damage done after the king violated her. There was a dried pool of blood underneath her after the king's doctor had finished his latest experiment. She would have to have a healer look over her entire body after she escaped, but that was okay. She knew that Kaisha would have a skilled healer at her side who would be able to heal her wounds. She focused her magic and began exploring her intestines. Massive burns lined her stomach from where Syrya's darts had pierced. She traveled lower, then her heart sank. Where her womb would have been sat an empty void. She felt sick to her stomach as she realized what the doctor had done. She dropped her aura and hung from the wall, feeling exhausted. After just a moment she began sobbing. She had her body violated so terribly that she would never be able to heal it. She knew that the king was preparing her to be a sterile slave for his pleasure. She never wanted children, but this was something that the king had taken from her with force. She was robbed of the decision now. She was broken beyond the point where healing could fix. Her tears streamed down the left side of her face as she hung from the dungeon's wall. Gerald and Luke were staring at each other. Their faces blank, no sign of emotion crossing them. After a total of 3 minutes, Gerald blinked, slammed his hand on the table and cursed. Luke laughed and picked up a couple coins from the center of the table.
I told you that I'd win,
Luke said, tossing a coin up and catching it. They had been in this room for almost a month and a half. They ran the inn out of liquor, so they had to resort to cheap watered-down ale. Gerald had gone on for hours about how the various brewing companies were corrupt and used water to produce more ale at a higher price, and how his company would never do such a thing. The two had become good friends, and Gerald felt like he had known Luke for years. Luke had remembered a few things, but they were so insignificant that he was still lost. A story about how he had eaten steak and his first time smoking Haven Stem. Gerald wished he had known Luke before he lost his memory because of how well they got along, but thought that if he hadn't lost his memory maybe things would be completely different. Lilith woke up first. She sat up, seeing Syrya laying naked next to her. She blushed, then brushed some hair away from Syrya's cheek, then kissed it. Syrya stirred awake and looked up to see Lilith smiling at her.
Good morning, beautiful,
Syrya said, and Lilith giggled.
Good morning,
Lilith replied. Syrya sat up and began getting dressed.
I have to get Aries up here as quickly as I can. The kitchen is in the sanctuary off to the right. Make yourself at home,
Syrya said, placing her hand on Lilith's shoulder. She leaned down and kissed her, then left the room. Syrya made her way to the inn and entered the room to see Eve waiting with Aries behind her.
It's time to begin her training,
Syrya said calmly.
Look, I'm not just going to let you take her from me,
Eve said sternly.
That is not my intention, Eve. All I need is to have her at the chapel. You can stay there with her,
Syrya replied.
Things got off to a bad start yesterday, let's just move past it, okay?
She continued.
I agree. How about you stay away from my daughter, use your magic to cure us, then we will leave and never have to see each other again,
Eve said in reply.
I can't promise that, but if you wish to harm your daughter, that is your choice,
Syrya replied and walked out. Eve and Aries followed behind, shutting the door. Lilith was dressed and had eaten by the time her mother and sister came into the sanctuary. Eve looked at Lilith with an angry expression but didn't say anything. They sat down and waited for Syrya to begin her teaching. Haith stepped out from his room seeing the Black family and greeted them warmly. Syrya stepped in front of Aries and began to show her how to breathe and focus her mind in a meditative manner. As the sun rose, light began shining through the barred window in Vera's cell. She awoke from a strange dream. A woman sitting on a throne that lit up in streaks was speaking to her, but she couldn't make out exactly what was being said. Vera shook off sleep and began focusing her energy into her leg. She wasn't sure where the dungeon was located in the castle, but it was on the outside, so she could bust through the wall and take the chance that it was at a reasonable distance from the ground or fight her way out through the castle. She grunted as her bones shifted slightly. She stopped there and let her pain go down, then tried again.